Hey everyone, just wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Clouser, literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side. It's that easy, guys. I did that.
Have you ever had a Krispy Kreme? Have you ever gone to Krispy Kreme? Was it crispy?
No.
Yeah, right.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Clouser.
Oh, hello. We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show with your host, me, Juan D. Clouser, John D. Clouser, whichever one you want to call me. I'm just glad you decided to stop by for a little bit. So we're episode 118. 118, this beautiful thing called my podcast, my solo one. Yeah. So I'm doing good. I hope you guys are doing good. Just living life, doing the thing that we normally do in this thing. Still alive. What's no smallpox, or not smallpox. Well, yeah, no smallpox. No monkeypox. That's why I guess I don't know. Can I even say that? Was that too early into the podcast to bring something like that up? It's like, okay, well, I guess that's what it is. We're here, normally on Thursday evenings doing the show, and I don't know. I guess like I'm just slightly kerfluffled because I'm just so blown away by my ignorance again that I did something silly. So I've been for a while been like, okay, John, it's time to do an upgrade with all your equipment, all your film stuff. You've done lighting upgrades, you've done microphone upgrades, you've done like microphone wire upgrades, you've done computer upgrades, you've done inbox upgrades, you've done all these different upgrades, but you have yet, because that's the most expensive part of the whole thing of filmmaking. And it's not even just like it's not just the camera. Like, you have to upgrade all the time. It's not even upgrading. You're just like getting more stuff, or like especially with like lighting, it gets to the point where like lights get more powerful, so then you don't have as many lights, or you can use the lights that you used to use as main lights. Now they can be secondary lights. It's just a whole thing. And then your main camera that you use now can now become your secondary camera, be camera B, and then your little huddle thing, little film thing, can grow a little bit. So we're here, and so I've been doing with that. I've been mentally just kind of trying to figure out, okay, how do I want to deal with this? Do I want to do I just want to get this camera? Do I want to go ahead and just save up and just go and get this camera and go even more? Anyway, so I'm always looking, trying to find, if I can find something to use, I don't have no problem. If the shutter count is high, that's not that bothers me. I just want a camera that I can use for film. If I can use like just the video aspect of it, beautiful, awesome. So found a Canon 7D, great camera. It's awesome camera. A lot of movies. Black Swan was filmed with it was a 7D or a 5D, is one of the two. Again, probably one of those things you'd like look up. Actually, we can look it up right now. What did they use to film the movie Black Swan? And it's kind of a twofer, because it also be talking about film stuff. Oh, do you know like Roy Lovett? Was it Ray Liotta? What did I fucking say? Yeah, Ray Liotta passed away today. R.I.P. buddy. Fucking Goodfellas. Fucking A, dude. Like, I remember watching Goodfellas when I was like, a kid. And I remember going into film school, and then you have to watch. It's one of those movies that you just watch in film school. Whenever you take like a film history class or a film appreciation class, you're gonna probably watch it. You're gonna at least watch a scene of it. And watching that movie was so crazy. Such an amazing film. Perfect. I remember watching it my very first time, like, okay, I get it. But I didn't get it. But that's the thing. I watched it again. I'm like, okay, I get it again. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Then I watched it a third time. I'm like, oh. And I watched it again, and you just see the pacing, and you see the story, and you just see the whole thing, how it's shot, and everything. You're just like, oh, this is such a good fucking movie. This movie's fucking perfect. Oh my god. Okay, so, but like, yeah, Ray Liotta, he was one of the characters, the main guy. He passed away today. Apparently, he was asleep. He was in the Dominican Republic. R.I.P. He was with the brown people. I feel that. Probably doing some Santeria stuff. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Whatever. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, I just had to rethink I just had a rethought today. I was at work, and my boss was like, he always does these like questions, just like these random like pop questions, like or trivia questions, not pop questions, but trivia questions, popular culture questions, whatever. I guess pop questions would work. Somewhat would work. Pop, maybe POP dash. Also, my writing aspect of things, because that's all I've been doing is fucking just writing and talking to a microphone or editing. It's literally all I've been doing. So, and working. And so I was at work, and he was like, what sport Hall of Fame does Abraham Lincoln in? And I'm like, he didn't even get halfway through the whole question. I was like, wrestling. And yeah, like, he only lost one match. He like won 168 matches, 169 matches, only lost one. Through his whole career. It was insane. Like, this tall fucking lanky guy, you would never fucking think that. You'd never think, but interesting little fact. You know what's so funny? It's like, where the fuck am I going with all this? But, oh yeah, because we were looking at Black Swan. What camera did they use for Black Swan? Oh, they used an Arri 416 with the prime 16 lens. A single shot. I thought they used like a Canon. No, they used a Canon for a scene. Canon. Why was shot on 6mm? Oh, I didn't know that. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Libatique. I know that was the director. I just wanted to make sure I pronounced it correct. Libatique said the decision to produce Black Swan in Super 16 enabled them to cover scenes with a handheld camera that moved in tune with the ballet dancers while capturing an organic film look, including visuals of color. Contrast and color, which makes sense. Okay, yeah, it makes sense, because like also too, when you have film, you have a little bit more of a, I don't know, would you? I guess you could, but yeah, that makes more sense, because you can get this gelling effect when you do digital. That can happen. I was gonna also say too, you're also a little bit more forgiving, because you can get certain kind of. You know, the lighting's not going to be that great in an area, and so you can get like a different frame speed on your film. Sorry, I'm like why am I studying through all this? And so with that, because I'm just trying to think, I'm like, well, okay, how would you actually do this? Like, I'm like, okay, you were going to do that, but like, what's the purpose of it, and like, how can help? And it's also a little bit more forgiving in the sense of like, you don't have to have as much lighting, and which makes sense why some of the shots were really grainy. Because when I was watching, I'm like, I thought this was shot in a Canon, but an Arri makes sense, because this usually tends to be the traditional Arri or Red cameras are the ones. The last big film company I worked for, we used Arri a lot. We had an Arri, I want to say it was like an Arri Mojo, but it was like a tiny one, an Arri Mini. I think it was an Arri Mini. So for some reason I feel like there was Mojo written on it or something like that. Yeah, let me look at that up. I think Arri Mojo camera. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I was right. There's an Arri movie camera. I think Mojo, is that a type, or Moja? For some reason, I thought that was like some weird part of it. Why did I think? Because right before I stopped working with that company, we sent that camera out to get it repaired, because you have to ship it out to like their headquarters, and they fix it and everything like that. Then they ship it back to you. It's a whole thing. Because what's so funny is like when you go into for film, the higher up you go, you don't go. So from like this thing, like $100 camera to like $1,000 camera is a massive jump. So you're getting like bulk, you're getting like wiring, you're getting basically like mirrors, sensors, everything gets massively upgraded really quick. But then what happens when you get into like these high end cameras, what happens is like you don't, the difference in like price is so much, but the change is like very minimal. What you're basically paying for is like, instead of getting like being able to shoot in so you want to do a normal like shooting 24 frames per second, because every frame, like right now, I'm shooting in 24 frames per second at 180p. So 180p is like the quality level. The frame rate is 24 frames. So every second there is 24 shots taken. And see, like you can even like probably tell like right here, like my hand's gelling a little bit when it's movement. And it's just because like it's mimicking like what actual film rate would be. An actual film rate is 24 frames per second. Like when you see a thing, those little individual shots, each one of those are 24 frames. 24 frames would equal up 1 second of an actual movement in a movie. And then when you move, like what's happening right now is like I'm standing in the camera's mind. I'm standing still, but what it's doing, it's taking every time I move, it's taking basically little pictures, and it's doing 24 of those little things within each 1 second. I think we've gotten it. Kind of understand? Okay. Well, when you get like one of these high-end cameras like an area and stuff like that, what you're doing is your quality level goes up, of course. Of course, you're paying a significant amount of money, like a $60,000 just for the body of a camera. But what the crazy things are the things like the sensors, so you can do 24 frames per second, or you can do like 180 frames per second, or because like you can do 24, because what would it be, so 24 times 2 is 40. Then what is it, like if you want to do like 100, like 24, like you can do like 124 like frame rate, or you can do like 120 frames and like super slow motion. So like when you do slow motion, what you're doing is like you're just telling the camera for every 1 second take like 120 some odd shots or 130 some odd shots, and then like with that you're able to like basically like spread out the shot, go slower, because the camera is picking up so much more of what it's doing versus this. Instead of doing this, it's doing that when it's absorbing the light into the camera, because that's what it's doing. It's taking every individual, it's taking the colors of my shirt, the colors of my skin, the colors of the can, the colors of the koozie. It's taking all that and absorbing it, flipping it, and then giving it back upright. That's what it's doing in the camera to give what it is, to what the shot of what you see me here standing or sitting talking to a microphone. And that's how it works. So it's insane. So like when you get that, it's what you're paying for. You're paying for the abilities to do things like that. And instead of shooting like right now I'm shooting 1080p, and I instead of shooting like 4K, 2K, it has the ability to do all that stuff. And then if you can do like 60 frames per second, or you can do 120. That's what it is, because it's 24, 60, and then 60 times 2 is 120. Times that 120, then you can do 240, and those are your abilities. If you go get a better camera, you can like change those rates. And also too, when you get a better camera, like a 70 or 5D, you could change your ISO, which is basically your grain level. So for a film, like for a digital camera, a DSLR that I'm shooting on right now, like I could change my ISO and make it like 400. And doing 400 would cause a little bit more grain, which in turn might make it look like it's shot on film versus shot digitally, because digitally has a little bit more of a clear, crisp taste to it, like a look to it, versus like a film. It's kind of like just more of a smooth kind of taste, kind of just a smooth kind of a look, and kind of grain. And so it's just it's just all an artistical view, artistic choice. And that's one of the things, like as a filmmaker, like as a director, that's what you have to think about, like a Quentin Tarantino, or like Steven Spielberg, Michael Bay. You have to think of those kind of things, and then you think of each shot. Each shot's going to be different. So some shots you want it to be more clear, more crisp, because like the idea, what you're trying to get by, what you're trying to purvey might be different. Like, like Black Swan. Black Swan was like a movie about like, the mental mindset of somebody, and like dealing with like that, and like basically going insane, a girl going insane. God, it's been such a long time. I only saw that movie one time. And I saw that, I saw it in the theaters. God, I was back in Los Angeles, and I was so looking forward to seeing that movie, and I saw it. But I was slightly disappointed, but I only feel like I was disappointed because there's always a point when you're in film school, and you're so absorbing all this information and all these different things. So you're absorbing like lighting style, costuming, directing, camera stuff, lenses, shutter speeds, like all these different things. Like you're learning all these different aspects of what filmmaking is. Fucking sound. Like this is a big thing. Like talking to a microphone. Like you don't use just normal audio. You record audio separately, and that's like one of the big things that separates like a really like someone who knows what they're doing versus someone who doesn't know what they're doing, or separates like two different styles. Like for me, like if I was filming something, like if I was filming me and someone else talking, I would record the video separately from the audio, like I do for the podcast and stuff like that. Like that's a practice for filmmaking. It's a practice for when doing a film and talking and all that stuff. Like you have to, because you're gonna have to be able to record on set sound, pick up the guys talk, pick up the like audio between two people talking, and then also being able to like pick up the video as well. So like when I saw this movie, I feel like I feel like I was in like that mindset of like just judging it, like, well, it wasn't like this, and this, but like even those things, them not doing it are what make that movie good. It's a weird thing. You have to like be a fan of movie, almost hate movies, to be a filmmaker as a director. And then you go back into loving them again, because then you realize all those rules, because you're so obsessed with learning the rules and making sure that you do it correctly, because you don't want to like jump the line. You don't want to have like your video look, or your film look, the color correction be off. You don't want to be out of focus. You want to maybe, you want to do a moving shot, but you don't want it to be shaky, or you want to do a handheld shot, or you want to do something handheld, and maybe you do want to make it look shaky because you want to have this feel of like uneasiness. But your whole mindset is like learning and like trying to be precise at it, instead of just having fun, the reason why you got into filmmaking to begin with. And so you have to go through all that bullshit. And then once you go through all that bullshit by just like practice, like putting up lights, breaking them down, putting up lights, putting a camera up, framing, doing audio, and then doing over and over again, breaking it down, putting it back up. And then you eventually just, you get out of that mindset, and you're just like, okay, well, I know how, I walk into a room and I know where I have to put some lights. I need to put a light there. We're going to probably do, because there's like an air conditioning, we're going to probably just put the microphones close on them, versus like having a microphone coming up above over. So, so we can get rid of that. We can cut away that sound, and most likely we're going to have to go back and post and do ADR. So you'd basically watch me talking, do this. Like we went outside yesterday. So that was the thing, but there was like a going on. So then I would go, there'd be a clicker, be click, click, click. And then you could be able to, and then like that's when you're recording. And so click, click, click. And then like basically you're watching me. You say like, we went outside yesterday. And then I rewatched it, and like I basically watch it and I make sure I read the mouths. I'm like, we went outside yesterday, and I just do the same delivery every time over and over again. You do it like 30, 40 fucking times. It's insane. It's an insane time. And then also too, then like if it's so like two people walking, then you can like have you're watching it, and then you can like make like different sound. You can do a sound that represents like walking, even though you don't see it, but it makes the room feel more. It makes the environment more full. And then you have to do ambient sound. So you literally go into a room and you just record the sound. So you just record this. We're gonna do like a couple seconds of dead sound. That's what you record. You record that, and then that's it. And then you have that going completely underneath every scene. So it feels like the room's full. So you subconsciously you hear it, but it's not, you don't really hear, you hear a tone. So it's, because it's just the tone of the room. It's insane. It's a weird thing that filmmaking sometimes is insane. What you do to make this whole thing come to life, that's literally just a 2D picture. Whoa. So, enjoy, even in the shitty films, understand like that's what that guy's trying to do, or that lady, or that person's trying to do. He's trying to purvey a story, but also like literally make a whole fucking universe of sounds and things like that. And it's like, I feel like the next thing for me is like being able to put music, being able to understand like, okay, what kind of tones to use. Cause like, I'm just kind of like, fuck this shit. I'm good with everything else. Just the music part of it. Like I'm usually just lay that onto the editor. I'm assuming you have way better taste in music, and you understand music way more than I'll ever understand music. So let's just, how about you do that? It's the truth. It's goddamn truth. Fucking A, you know what I mean? So how much time do I have left on this? I have like 6 minutes. Okay, well shit. Like we went on a fucking tangent about fucking film. See, that's what happens. I honestly sometimes I feel like if I had a podcast with another filmmaker, I don't know. It might be a little too insane, because it'd be a lot of just technique, understanding, being able to go and like, because these be deep dark dives. It'd be these, not deep dark, not be dark. I mean, sometimes I guess it can be dark in the sense of like creativity and like what you think of to think of things, and like how you just like you live with a story for so long, then you have to learn how to like let go of the story, so you can be like, all right, well that story has to be done now, has to be over. We have to move on, and versus a story where you get like, okay, the story still needs some sort of work. And like, then there's those moments when you have like that breakthrough. You're like, fuck yeah. And like last night for me, I had a great one with with my story I'm working on lately. And it was just like basically being able to I'm like, boom, 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 boom. Every little thing's getting put together, and it's just starting to make fucking sense now. It was so funny. Like I moved my thumb out long, and it popped, and it like, now it's kind of like sore. It's insane, because every once in a while it pops in and out of its little like, and like, I definitely need to get surgery. I definitely need to get surgery on my thumb for sure. But I'm like, I'm totally fucking neglecting it, because it's like I'm getting like trigger finger. I'm getting trigger thumb in my thumb, or trigger finger in my thumb. So it's like the tendon like snapped down in here, and so it's like balled up, and now it's just like, and it's happened to like other tendons and shit like that in my hands. And so I think it's a genetic thing of like, I think my family has weak tendons. Um, and so because of that, like I did sports, and so it was just they just all fucking just snapped. And I think I did this one. I was like in middle school. I swear to God, because I remember when I jammed my thumb, and it was this thumb for the very first time, and I'm like, this doesn't feel just like a fucking jam, because I had jams after that only hurt for like a week. This one hurt for like a solid like almost a month. So it was like 4 weeks of fucking football and being a lineman, because I was just bigger. I'm like, good God, and just having to tape the shit out of it. And my dad was like, well, we can just tape it. I'm like, that's what we're gonna have to do, because I don't know what else. And I would just be like, and I would just learn how to still use my hands and just be in pain. Oh, that was just the biggest learning experience, was dealing with that first jam, fucking finger. Because even my coach, he's like, yep, he squeezed it, shook it. He's like, yep, that's a jam. He's like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'm like, he's like, what do I do? He's like, nothing. You just gotta let it heal. I'm like, shit. And every season, it wasn't if, it was just like, when will I jam a finger? Most likely my thumb. And then it just fucking would swell the whole fucking knuckle. It would like swell from the knuckle all the way down to whatever it was. So it was like, if I jammed it up here, usually it was like one of these main joint ones, and I'd jam it, and then like the whole from down here, and like this would just all get fucking bruised, because like I was always using my hands and shit, and I have like long fingers, and so when I would end up injuring my hands, it was always dramatic, because like my hands are so fucking, they're gorilla paws, they're fucking paws, they're not normal hands, which wouldn't like it would be able to embrace the impact. There's a lot more to embrace, and so there's a lot more ability to fucking break. Tough life, right? Yeah, like fuck. We talked about football a little bit. We talked about fucking mostly just movies. Got 2.5 minutes left. If you've gotten this far, damn, thank you so much for watching. It was so funny, because I was like, I need to get this fucking done, so because I can go work on my other story, because I need to work on it. I need to look at it. I haven't looked at it at all today. I haven't thought about it. Zero amount. And it's like, it's almost there. I'm like, I would say 86% done. All right, take a couple looks over more, and we're done. And then I'm basically saving like 15 words for the title. So I don't know if the working title, I think, might be the actual title I'm going to use for this episode. Not for this episode, but for that story. That's going to hopefully, maybe, get published. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be awesome, huh? Come on here and be like, hey, yeah, I got a fucking story got published. You guys, if any of y'all watch this, you could be like, oh, like, yeah, maybe I chose the right guy to follow. Now he's a published writer too. It's like, so we'll see. It's just part of life, you know. I just think it'd be hilarious to become like, if I ever got published, because I'm just a fucking kid from Honduras, man. I'm just a dude from Honduras, from an orphanage that got lucky and I got fucking adopted. That was basically it, buddy. Like, besides that, like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. None of this would be here. None of this. All this would be not, it would just be not even probably a thought in my mind, because my life would be completely different. Maybe be a soccer player. Maybe I would be a professional soccer player playing for like Barcelona or something like that. But anyway, I got 30 seconds left on this podcast. Damn. Sometimes I'm like, what am I going to write about in the description? But it's like, John, you could just make up a bunch of shit in the descriptions. Who cares, right? Who gives a dang? If they follow you, they're going to watch it anyway. Like, who has watched the description? I've never read one description on a podcast. That's a good thing to think about. All right, guys. Be safe. Do something cool. Do something different. You might learn something. You never know. It might become your new thing. All right, I'll see you guys on the next episode. That might be the most deepest, most poetic thing you guys will ever hear from me. All right.